So how do you create something that actually lasts? An impact that goes on long after you're gone. Well, today we're going to dive into how to build a legacy that endures. And believe it or not, the secret comes from a pretty wild place, the unfinished masterpiece of a classical music legend.
I want you to just picture this for a second. We're in Vienna. It's 1791. The air's got that crisp, cold bite to it. Gas lamps are flickering on the cobblestone streets, and inside a small apartment, one of history's greatest minds is in a desperate race against the clock.
And this whole scene brings us to this huge, kind of haunting question, right? What happens when a piece of pure genius just gets cut short? When the person who dreamed it up is gone, but their creation isn't finished? Well, that was the exact unbelievable dilemma facing Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
It all kicked off with a super mysterious commission, a request that would become the composer's last great obsession, and, as it turns out, the very key to his immortality.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's insane. In the fall of '91, some mysterious stranger shows up and commissions a Requiem. A few months later, bam, December 5th, Mozart is dead at 35, and his masterpiece, totally unfinished. But then, his student, this guy Süssmayr, he steps in and picks up the pieces, and somehow, 2 years later, it premieres. The question just hangs there. How on earth was that even possible?
Against all odds, the symphony did play on, and the secret to how it all continued, well, that's the blueprint we're here to talk about today. It's a blueprint for literally any creator out there who wants their work to have a life of its own.
So, what was the secret sauce here? It wasn't some kind of magic. No. The Requiem survived because Mozart built more than just music. He built a system. He left behind these incredibly detailed sketches and notes. He laid out clear musical patterns that someone else could follow. And maybe the most important part, he trained an apprentice who got it, who understood the vision. And that leads to this profound idea. The system he built was just as important as the composer himself.
And this is where it all clicks into place for us right now. Mozart's big challenge was an unfinished Requiem. The modern author's challenge? It's a finished book that, over time, just goes silent. It's the exact same problem of legacy, just playing out in a different century.
So, how do we solve for this? We've got to start thinking bigger. We have to look beyond the final page of just one book and start focusing on building something much larger, something that's actually designed from the ground up to last.
And we call this thing an author ecosystem. It's basically the whole universe of assets that keeps your ideas alive and kicking. Your newsletter, your courses, a community, all of your media. Here's a good way to think about it. The book is the grand opening party, but the ecosystem is what keeps the lights on, forever. Now this right here, this is probably the single most important idea we're going to cover. Your book is not the end product. Nope. It's the invitation. It's the front door into your world, into your ideas, and into your entire ecosystem. And if you need proof, just look at where the real long-term impact comes from. A single book, that one artifact, it might give you, say, 20% of your total impact. But the other 80%? Oh, that comes from all the compounding assets in the ecosystem, the ongoing chats, the courses, the community. That is where a true legacy gets built.
Okay, so this sounds great, but how do we actually build one? That brings us to the really practical part, the Requiem Framework. It's a 5-step process inspired directly by Mozart's, accidental genius for building a legacy.
All right, here are the 5 steps, just high level. First, you compose your core message. Then, you document your process. You train others to carry the torch. You structure it all into repeatable assets. And finally, you release it and let the system run on its own.
Let's really break this down and see how it translates. Step 1, compose. Mozart wrote his core musical movements, you write your book's core message. Step 2, document. He left those detailed sketches, you create templates and SOPs, standard operating procedures. Step 3, train. He taught his student Süssmayr, you build a team or you mentor others. Step 4 is structure. He used repeatable musical patterns, you create repeatable assets, like a newsletter or a course. And finally, release. He allowed others to complete the work, and you build an ecosystem that can eventually run without your hands on it 24/7. That right there is the path to creative immortality.
So let's pull all of this together. Building this kind of immortal ecosystem, it really requires a pretty fundamental shift in how you even see your job as a creator. Which, leads to this kind of provocative question. We all think writing the book is the job, but what if it isn't?
What if the book is actually just the start of the real work?
And here it is, the big, kind of contrarian truth. Your real job isn't to write books. It's to build a system that outlives your books. That is the ultimate mission.
And here's exactly why this matters so much. If you look at this chart, a book's impact often has this huge initial spike, right? But then it fades, sometimes pretty fast. An ecosystem, though, it starts slower, for sure, but it compounds. It just grows and grows and grows steadily, creating a much bigger, more durable impact over the long haul.
So where in the world do you start? Okay, first, audit your assets. Just list out all the stuff you've already made. Blog posts, videos, threads, whatever. That's your foundation. Number 2, start a newsletter. This is non-negotiable. It's the one audience you truly own. 3, outline a course. Package your unique way of doing things into a scalable product. 4, create a media center, one single place where people can find all your work. 5, document your process. Just write down how you do what you do so someone else could learn it. And finally, number 6, and this is so important, find your Sizmeyer. Find that person you can mentor, who can help you carry the vision forward, making sure the work keeps going even when you need to step away.
You know, in the end, Mozart's Requiem became immortal not because he finished it, but because he built a system that allowed it to be finished. So think of your book as just the first note. The real question is, what will your symphony be?